As the sun dipped below the horizon, it bathed Evergreen Terminal in a warm amber glow. The bustling airport thrummed with energy as travelers of all walks of life hurried through the corridors, eager to reach distant destinations. In the midst of the crowd was Elliot Cross, a tall, sharply dressed man in his late 30s, his dark eyes scanning the signs with practiced ease. Pulling a sleek black suitcase, Elliot exuded the quiet confidence of a man who had built an empire from the ground up. Renowned for his strategic mind and visionary leadership, Elliot's rise to success was the stuff of legend. But tonight, business was the last thing on his mind. After a grueling week of negotiations that had redefined the logistics industry, Elliot was on his way to Paris to finalize the merger with a new team. All he wanted was a peaceful flight to collect his thoughts. Little did he know, peace was the last thing awaiting him on this journey. Elliot approached Gate 17, his boarding pass reading 1A, business class, a seat he had chosen for its comfort and efficiency. As the gate agent scanned his pass, she offered him a polite, if distant, smile. "Welcome aboard, Mr. Cross." He made his way down the jet bridge and onto the aircraft. A flight attendant in her early 40s, with a practiced smile that didn't quite reach her eyes, greeted him. "Good evening, sir. Your seat is just to the right." Elliot nodded, slid his suitcase into the overhead bin, and sank into the plush leather recliner of seat 1A. The glass of chilled orange juice waiting on the armrest was a small but welcome luxury. He exhaled deeply, letting the hum of the cabin settle his nerves. The last few days had been relentless, and the thought of a quiet, uninterrupted flight was his only solace. He had just begun reviewing documents on his tablet when the same flight attendant appeared by his seat again. Her expression was no longer welcoming but laced with hesitation. "Excuse me, Mr. Cross," she said, her voice subdued. "May I see your boarding pass again?" Elliot frowned but handed it over without protest. She examined it, her eyes flicking between the pass and the seat number. After a tense pause, she murmured, "There seems to be an issue with your seat." "What kind of issue?" Elliot asked, his tone sharp but controlled. The attendant glanced around as though afraid of being overheard. "There's been a mistake. This seat wasn't supposed to be assigned. We'll need to move you to the economy cabin." Elliot blinked in disbelief. "I don't understand. My boarding pass clearly states seat 1A. I booked this seat weeks ago." Her polite mask faltered. "I'm sorry, sir, but we need your cooperation." Elliot felt a knot of frustration tightening in his chest. "If there's been a mistake, it's not mine. I'm staying here." The attendant's composure cracked. "Please, sir. We don't want to escalate this." Other passengers were now glancing their way, sensing the tension. The hum of the cabin quieted. Elliot's jaw clenched. He had faced countless boardrooms filled with doubters and skeptics, but this felt different. This wasn't just about a seat, it was about his place. "If there's an issue, call your supervisor," Elliot said firmly. "I'm not moving." Minutes later, the cabin manager arrived, his calm demeanor betraying a hint of unease. "Mr. Cross, I apologize for the inconvenience, but this seat is required for another passenger." Elliot raised an eyebrow. "Another passenger? Who might that be?" The manager hesitated, his gaze shifting away. Before he could respond, a new voice chimed in, a young flight attendant who had just arrived with a tablet. "Actually, there's no mistake," she said, her tone resolute. "Mr. Cross's seat was never double booked." The cabin manager stiffened. "What are you saying?" The young attendant handed him the tablet. "The system shows Mr. Cross as the sole occupant of 1A. A heavy silence fell over the cabin. Elliot's pulse quickened as he noticed the manager's face pale. The man muttered something about confusion before retreating, leaving the younger attendant to face Elliot. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Cross," she said, her voice sincere. "Your seat is confirmed. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to make your flight more comfortable." As the flight settled into a steady rhythm, Elliot couldn't shake the feeling that something darker was at play. The attempt to move him seemed deliberate, almost targeted. He decided to dig deeper. After the plane landed, Elliot contacted his private investigator, Victor Haynes, to probe the incident. Within days, Victor uncovered a chilling revelation: the cabin manager and senior flight attendant had been coerced by a shadowy figure, a former rival from the logistics world, Lucas Trent. Lucas, bitter over losing a major deal to Elliot, had orchestrated the seating mistake as a petty act of sabotage, aiming to humiliate him publicly. Elliot's frustration turned to resolve. He brought the matter to the airline's board, exposing not just the incident but systemic vulnerabilities that allowed such manipulations. The airline took swift action, terminating those involved and implementing stricter policies. Months later, Elliot found himself boarding another flight, this time as a significant shareholder in the airline. As he settled into seat 1A, the same young flight attendant approached with a warm smile. "Welcome back, Mr. Cross," she said. Elliot smiled. He had fought for his place in life and wasn't about to let anyone take it from him. As the engines roared to life, Elliot leaned back, ready for a journey that symbolized not just travel, but triumph.